Hey everybody, Max Dollinger with Moab Off-Road in Louisville, Kentucky. I'm here with Fred Bennett of Tireballs. They've been well known in the ATV and the motocross world for a long time, and basically doing a little testing on a new product that they're trying to bring to the off-road world. Fred, maybe you can tell some of the viewers that aren't familiar with the Tireballs what those benefits are.
Tireballs is a run-flat solution. It keeps against any kind of puncture that you may get in the tire. It improves the sidewall stability of the tire. It helps the suspension of the vehicle. It is gives the tire a better footprint for better traction. And that's basically it.
Okay. So some of the things that what Fred's talking about, maybe to help you guys as a viewer get an idea of how these work as part of the suspension. If you've ever seen a tractor or a backhoe going down the street with no suspension, they start to bounce. What that's doing is the air is going from the bottom of the tire and it's actually overinflating the top side, bouncing back, and that rebounding or that recoil of the air inside the carcass of the tire is creating the bounce of the vehicle. And what these tire balls do is they soak up that kinetic energy and they're going to stop that from happening. So they're actually going to act as part of the suspension as well as an internal bead lock, like he said. It's also going to create some sidewall stability. So if you're aired down to like a real low pressure, you're rock crawling or rock racing, let's say, and you're cornering and the sidewall is trying to roll underneath the rim, this is going to help keep that from happening. So you can run at the same low pressures you're running at, but you're not going to get the deflection that you're used to because these balls are taking up that void inside the wheel. Maybe you can pan in here, Jeremy, and show. This is a BFG crawler. It's a blue label, 37, with a 17-inch Walker Evans wheel, and these are actually what the Tireballs look like. It's a rubber compound, correct, Fred?
Polyurethane.
Polyurethane. Mm-hmm. And they make these in different thicknesses, so there's a lot of variables that you can kind of play with. Once this product comes to market, they will have these in different mill thicknesses. Plus, you can play around with air pressures, running air over top of the balls as well. What we're testing today is just running the balls in the tire itself with no air pressure over top of it. So we had them set earlier at about 6.5 psi. We brought them in here, broke the tire down to adjust them a little bit lower. Now we're at about 5 psi. So stay tuned. We're going to do a few more videos and show you what they do on the vehicle and installing the tire onto the rim. All right, here we are again. For those of you that are kind of curious, what the Tireballs use as a valve to air them up and air them down, whatever, is similar to a basketball or a soccer ball. So what we're using is this little air gauge here, the needle end to read the pressure, adjust the pressure, so forth and so on. Jeremy, pan down here, maybe show Fred. What we've got here on this Walker Evans bead lock is just 4 pieces of all thread to bring the tire, because you're actually trying to compress the tire against the tire balls. So we've got to use a longer stud here to pull the ring down before we can actually get the bolts to bolt the beadlock ring all the way onto the tire. So it's pretty simple installation, especially around these lower PSIs. If you're going to be running like a 20 PSI, 15 PSI, if you're desert racing, something of that nature, a little bit higher air pressure than the guys that are out rock crawling. This might be a little bit more labor extensive to get this sidewall to come down to the rim, but it's as easy as what Fred's demonstrating right here. Alright, what we've done is we've taken this forklift and lifted up the driver front tire to put vehicle weight onto the passenger rear. The passenger rear tire is the one that we just put the tire balls in the last video. We're running 5 psi in the tire balls. As you can see, it's still letting this tire flatten out, conform, get a better footprint. But if I try and move this Jeep from side to side, you don't see the wheel moving in and out of the carcass. what we're going to do is we're going to pick up the passenger side of the vehicle, do the same thing on the driver rear tire, which has 5 psi with no tire balls in it in the next video, and show you how that rim washes in and out of the sidewall. Kind of showcase some of the sidewall stability that you'll gain from this product. Alright, we've got the passenger side tire in the front raised up the forklift, as you can see, putting vehicle weight back onto the rear passenger tire. Now this is the tire without the tire balls. Still 5 psi like we were on the passenger side, but as you can see, I can just take one hand here, barely pushing on the roll cage, and you can see the rim washing in and out with the sidewall. And it's not taking much force to do that. So in a steering application, when you're cutting into a turn and you've got sidewall deflection, you're getting less responsive steering, okay? So that's one of the benefits of Tireballs is going to give you if you're running them in your rig. Another thing too, this sidewall is still spreading out, giving you a footprint just like the side with the Tireballs was doing. But you're not getting as sharp of a pinch here in the sidewall because of the Tireballs being inside of the other tire. So this gives you an idea of 5 psi without the Tireballs, what it's doing and how the sidewall deflection is reacting, unlike the other side with the Tireballs in it. Alright, like we talked about earlier, as these tire balls being part of the suspension and acting like a shock absorber, because these balls are stacked all the way around the rim, as you're hitting a sharp object like this, let's say it's a rock or coming off of a jump, and all that air is trying to go to the top of the tire, the tire balls are going to absorb that kinetic energy, and when it does that, it's not going to enable this tire to flatten all the way down to the rim. As you can see here, this is still 5 psi in the tire balls. We're still getting a good footprint on this cinder block here, but we're not pinching these sidewalls. We're going to go to the other side, the tire without the tire balls in it. It's at 5 psi, and when we drive it up onto the cinder block, you shouldn't see this radius here. You're going to see a sharper edge where this conforms, okay? So rim protection and suspension is going to be another benefit of these tire balls. Alright, here we are. This is the tire without the tire balls, 5 psi. As you can see here in the camera, you can see where this tire is creased, pinching the sidewall. You can also see how easy 5 psi is in the sidewall for me to just, push on it, because there is no resistance inside the carcass without the tire balls being there. This is basically going to give you a sacrifice in traction, and you're taking a possibility of puncturing part of the rim if this deflates all the way, and that's not going to happen if tire balls are in there.